Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Estrella virtual visit series. I'm Allison Campbell with Estrella Consulting, and I'm so excited to welcome Ashley Hardy, who's the Assistant Vice President for Admission from DePauw University, which is located in Greencastle, Indiana. Our virtual visit series is designed for all of you to be introduced to a variety of colleges and their colleagues to get to know the institutions and their staff in a more personal way. So thanks so much, Ashley, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Course. Thanks for having me.
If you don't mind, just taking a few moments, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you have worked at DePauw.
Yes, so my name's Ashley Hardy. I was born and raised in Indiana, and I have been here at DePaul. I'm going into my fourth cycle, so really excited about that. Within admissions, it's always a really big deal when you get to see the class that you came in with graduate. So really looking forward to graduation next year.
That's great. That's awesome. And you've worked in higher ed at previous institutions or always at DePauw?
Yeah, so I this is my year 15 in higher ed. So this is my third institution that I've been at. So I've always been at smaller liberal arts schools. So prior to coming here, I was at Marian University in Indianapolis for about 10 years, and then at Franklin College which is also in Indiana for 1 year. So really a big fan of smaller institutions.
That's great. Yeah, Ashley and I met over the summer. I was on the ICI tour, which is the Independent Colleges of Indiana tour, and got to visit DePauw. It's a beautiful, beautiful campus, and I'm really excited that you agreed to join us 'cause I think that'll be a great highlight. As you know, Estrella is based out of Northeast Ohio, but we work with students all over the U.S., international students as well. And you mentioned how much you love liberal arts schools, and I think just being in Ohio, there's so many options. So when we have the opportunity to highlight one that's not in Ohio, we definitely want to take advantage of that. So, can you tell us a little bit about DePauw for those that have maybe never heard of it or have heard of it, have never visited, so we can kind of get some insight into what your campus is all about?
Yeah, so DePaul, we are a smaller liberal arts school located in Greencastle, Indiana, and Indianapolis, which is the capital city of Indiana, is about 45 minutes away from us. We are 100% residential, so that adds a really unique spin to our campus because our students live on campus for all 4 years and they're guaranteed housing for all 4 years. We have about 1,900 students, so DePaul is a very small relational place where our students know their faculty, they know the staff, and we're completely undergraduate. So students have the benefit of being at a liberal arts institution where they're able to explore and still graduate in 4 years, of course. But they have all of the resources are available to them. So faculty, research opportunity, internships, our students aren't competing with graduate students at all for those opportunities. And I would say some unique things about DePaul. We are really well known for study abroad. Over 90% of our students study off campus. And our academic calendar makes it really easy for students to do that. We have an amazing alumni network that is truly global. In terms of our student body population, about 35% of our students are from Indiana. And then outside of that, we have a large international population of students on campus. So over 20% of our complete student body are international students. And then we are getting students from all over the US. So this past year, Colorado, Texas, Alabama was big, Illinois, DC. So even though we're this small but mighty school in rural Indiana, our students are truly coming from all over, which means that when our students are graduating, they're dispersing and have a lot of opportunity just across the globe.
That's great. That's really good to know. I think too, like when I'm trying to sell some private liberal arts schools, again, like I said, Ohio has so many of them that, why would you send me out to Greencastle, Indiana? And like you said, I love that there is a diversity amongst the population of where your students come from. So sometimes when it is a little bit more rural, students are from maybe an hour to two away, and they're going home
Mhm.
on the weekends or whatnot. That's definitely not an option for the students
Mhm.
coming to DePauw because they're coming from across the country, across the globe, it sounds like, and really probably feeding into your residential campus vibe because everybody's
Mhm.
there. You're not leaving
Yes.
all the time. That's
Yeah, definitely. We are not a suitcase campus. So our students, there are things to do on the weekends, and our students are staying here and truly just having fun and getting engaged and participating. We really believe in that residential model.
that's great. So as you're recruiting students, what type of student, what type of high school student do you feel like would thrive and do well at DePauw? Like, what are you looking for?
Yes, we're always looking for leaders. And when we think about leaders, we really look at it in so many different aspects. So, someone can be a leader in the classroom, they can be a leader on the athletic field, they can be a leader within a club. Maybe they started their own business or they founded a club on campus. We love to see students take those leadership roles. I think something else that we also look for is we want to see students that are passionate and curious. So a lot of times I'll have a conversation with a student and they're telling me about what they want to study, what they want to be involved in. And then a student will just mention, like, oh, I got involved in theater because we needed more students to be involved in theater to be able to put on a production. And I had a lot of fun doing that. I don't want to major in it, but I had a lot of fun.
Okay.
And DePauw is really a place where students are able to explore those different passions. So I think a lot of our students are really looking for this and proposition. So they can come to DePauw and be a student, and they can be involved in clubs, and they can be involved in athletics and Greek life. So students, we're really looking for those students who want to shape their academic experience and be able to just take different things and take a course because it really interests them.
Okay. That's great. What type of trends are you seeing at your university? Like you said, you have a lot of students coming from different states. Like, are you seeing any states in particular that have really caught on? I feel like it's one of those things where you get one student from one area, then they tell their friend, and then they tell their cousin, and then someone else enrolls. Like, have you had a lot of that, or like specific targets, maybe like markets that you're looking to get students from?
Oh yeah, we have. So Ohio has been a place where we've actually seen some growth, specifically in the Columbus area. I would say Texas was, we saw growth this year, East Coast, DC. And then we've seen some growth on the West Coast with California.
Okay.
I would say you're absolutely right. When you get one student, they come back and they tend to talk about their experience. And DePaul is such a relational place where everyone knows someone who went to DePaul.
Mhm.
So those students tend to go back and share their experiences, and then their friends visit and end up really enjoying campus life.
Yeah. Yeah. When we did our tour at DePauw, our tour guide was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, okay, like, why did you choose here? Just seems very random. She's like, well, my parents went to school here. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But, one parent was from like the Northeast, like Boston, and like one parent was from Michigan, and then they both went to school there, 30 years ago. And um, just was like, well, then my brother went to school here, so it was just funny. And I understand like the family trajectory, but then she brought a
Mhm.
friend, told someone else about DePauw, and I'm like, that's how it starts. It's just if you have a
Mhm.
great experience, it's like you have to know about this place. The word of mouth piece is so huge. So you can definitely speak to the relationships, and that's such a easy and informal way to market it, but it's probably the best for people
Yeah,
to be part of it.
absolutely.
So, so if you have students that are looking at DePauw, and I know, I mean, you're relatively selective, so definitely a place where you're looking for strong students. Do you guys track demonstrated interests? I think we always tell our students to get on campus if you have an opportunity to get on campus, but like engaging with your reps at a college fair, high school visits, like, is that something that's really important or would tip the needle at a place like DePauw?
Yes, we demonstrated interest is something that more selective schools like DePaul are starting to pay more attention to. So we do track it. So visiting campus, engaging with admission reps. So whether that's at a college fair, high school visit, reaching out to us and letting us know of your interest. One of the, I think, the ways that always stands out to me in which students express interest, if we are visiting a student's high school, or maybe we're going to be in the area, if that student reaches out to us and says, hey, I know you're going to be at my school, but I can't come because I have a test or I can't miss this class. I'm really interested, would love to learn more. That is something that just truly stands out, in that we love to see. We also do admission conversations. And so those are opportunities. We do those on campus, we do those virtually, we do them in different cities where a student can meet one-on-one with a counselor and talk more about DePauw and their interests. And those are really great because it allows us to get to know the student more, and to be able to recommend them for different scholarships and honors and fellows programs as well.
Okay. I'm going to circle back to the honors and fellows program, but I'm just curious because I used to work in higher ed at a small private liberal arts school. And I feel like we had a pretty wide alumni base as well. And that was my role in the office, was to engage the alums. Like,
Mhm.
do you offer anything like that if you had someone in Atlanta that, it's
Mhm.
like, I'm not going to be able to come to campus, would they be able to sync up with like an alumni representative or something like that? Do you have anything like that in place?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And actually, it's funny that you use Atlanta as an example because one of our reps, Erica, is in Atlanta right now.
Perfect. Yeah, yeah. I just feel like you can't, there's only so many hours in the day, so many people in the office, and such a wide net to cast. And, we just learned to kind of lean into that alumni network. And you said it's so strong. So you probably have people that are really prideful about sharing their experience about spa, connecting with future Tigers. And I just didn't know if that was something that was like in place. Like if I live somewhere that there's no regional rep or there's no
Mhm.
somebody that's not going to visit my campus, can I talk to an alum?
Oh yeah, and our alumni love talking to students. We did a project last year where we asked them to do phone calls, and it was so popular, and we just had to like expand the program, because of course friends heard about it and they're like, I want to talk to students. So our alumni are truly really engaged and very passionate about DePaul.
What you need them to do is to open up their houses for like admitted student receptions and things like that. That's always a good time. So, all right, as far as let's talk a little bit about academics. Since you opened the door to honors and fellows programs, can you explain what that is and how a student that is interested in it could apply or be acknowledged for something like that?
Yeah, so DePaul is one of the things that I feel really sets us apart is just our honors and fellows program. So a lot of colleges will have an honors program. Here at DePaul, we actually have seven. So we have the honor scholars program. And then we have six other fellows programs that are essentially honors programs for specific areas. So we have environmental fellows, which is for students that are interested in sustainability and the environment. There's global studies fellows for those students that may have an interest in language, cultures, study abroad. There's information technology, so for students that have an interest in like IT. Management fellows for those students that have an interest in entrepreneurship and business. Media fellows, so journalism, anything within the media fields. And then we also have science research fellows. And that's a really cool program for students that are majoring in a science where they're paired with a faculty member. They work with the faculty on their research, and then they're mentored to do their own research. But all of our honors and fellows programs have some type of experiential or hands-on learning component. We're a liberal arts school. So for a lot of those programs, it's going to be a semester-long paid internship that they can do off campus. But with the honors and fellows programs, how students apply, there's two ways. So the first way is through the application for admission. So our application for admission, we're assessing students for admission to the university, but we also use our admission application as a scholarship application. So rather than having to apply to every different scholarship that we have, students just have to fill out our application. And then we also use the application for admission for the honors and fellows program. So a student could express interest in the program, And then as we're reading that student's file, if there are activities or things that the student is involved in that we feel like would make them a good fit for the program, we can recommend them for the program. So the first way is going to be a student like applying to DePauw. And then the second way is called lateral entry. And that is where a DePauw student comes in and during their first year, they can apply for one of those fellows or honors programs.
Okay. I am taking notes. I do this while I'm doing my presentation, so I can just keep like kind of a list for of notes for our team. So I appreciate it. That's why you hear probably the clacking in the background. Is there any monetary gain to be in the honors program? Like, do you get like a scholarship for being in the honors program? Do you get like a stipend for study abroad? Is there anything like that?
So we don't have any monetary gain for like a scholarship for the honors and fellows programs. Really where I would say that's going to come into place is going to be that internship that students would complete.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Any type of benefit as far as like priority scheduling, housing, anything like that?
Yeah, so really the biggest benefit is going to be like the networking experiences. As a smaller liberal arts institution, in terms of scheduling, we are set up in such a way to where we've eliminated silos within academics. So there's not that same pressure for registering for classes that a student may see at a larger institution. DePauw is very much a place of where if a student goes to register for a class in its school, they email the faculty member and say, hey, I'm really interested. Like, could I get into this class? And a lot of times they're going to be accommodated there. But it's really going to be those networking opportunities. And the fellows and honors programs are interdisciplinary. So students don't have to major in those areas. So we tend to see a lot of times students may say, you know what, like, I know I don't want to study or major in business, but it's really important to me that I have these type of experiences and I still want to network so they can participate in those programs that way.
Okay. Okay. And like same for athletics, because I know, I mean, what would you say is the percentage of student athletes that make up your student body?
So about a third of our students are varsity athletes.
Okay. I mean, as a former student athlete as well, I feel like at a small private liberal arts school, sometimes they only offer the class that you need one semester, and it's a night class on Wednesdays, which is the same day as your basketball game, or,
Mhm.
the lab is from 5 to 8 and there's no window for practice. Like, is that an opportunity for a student just to go if it's like, oh, well, there's an 8 a.m. class and there's a 5 p.m. and I need the 8 a.m. and it's capped. Can you override for something like that as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And with athletics, there's also protected time periods as well, of where, like, if we offer a class during a certain period, like during that protected time, it has to be offered at a different time. And so there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to the schedule, and for athletes, like their advisors also paying attention to, you need this class to graduate and it's during practice, so here's what we're going to have you do instead.
Okay. Okay. This is probably a little bit off script, but since we're on athletics and this actually just came up with a student athlete that I'm working with that's a rising senior, it's a senior right now. Are there any majors that are kind of like shut off to athletes? So the student athlete that I'm working with wants nursing and was basically flat out told at a school, you can't pursue nursing and be on our team. It's just not going to work with your schedule. Is there anything like that that pops up, or are we pretty flexible?
No, we're pretty flexible, and honestly, that would go fly against being a liberal arts institution if
Yeah.
any student couldn't major in something.
Yeah. I mean, it was a Division 1 institution that she's looking at, but it was one that was at the top of her list. And now she's rethinking, like, is this going to be a good fit for me? Do I need to rethink maybe what I'm thinking for an academic major? I'm like, so just curious. I just know, for athletes, it's really hard, to pursue a nursing, to pursue an engineering, things that require like either or like student teaching is hard.
Mhm.
If you're at school all day and then you got to race right to practice and whatnot. But we're just
Yeah,
curious.
that's really great though that the student got that information ahead of time. I think a lot of times student athletes, it's easy for them to say the school has my major. and not dive into deeper. So like asking those questions about, can I do this? What is my schedule going to look like? I think those are questions that our faculty members and coaches like are typically asking or answering for students when they're visiting.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and I think, with the D3 model too, it is definitely academics are the priority, and
Mhm.
um coaches, yeah, they want to win, and it means a lot, but you have to graduate. You have to stay eligible.
Right.
You're not going to be
Mhm.
a professional athlete moving forward. So it is
Right.
definitely prioritized.
Mhm.
Can you speak to some of the, I would say, top majors? You can give us like the top majors, maybe like most popular, best outcomes, but also maybe like an under the radar major, like something that you think
Mm.
does really well that people might not know about.
Yeah. So as far as popular majors on campus, communications, computer science, biology, especially for pre-med students, kinesiology, business and psychology are popular. As far as under the radar programs, I would say our pathways, specifically archaeology, I feel like is a really cool pathway. And probably the easiest way to think of a pathway is that it's going to be a set of courses that you need for whatever track you're thinking about, and activities that you're going to add on top of it to make you attractive. So we do have an archaeology pathway, and one of the things that's so cool about it is just like the amount of field experiences that students get to have. So um, we're I know the reason I'm thinking about this is I was just talking to a student that was just talking about their Rome experience. So really being able to get those hands-on experiences and build up your resume. A lot of our archaeology students have gone on to graduate and professional school for it. And I think even just learning more about the different types of archaeology, like I had no idea that there was like underwater archaeology out there. So that's something that I think is DePauw does really well and is really cool.
My next door neighbor right now, is right like 5 minutes before we started this, was wheeling her suitcase down the driveway because she's going to Rome for a semester at her
Oh,
institution. Not DePauw, she goes to Loyola Chicago, but they have a campus there. So
mhm.
it's planned for quite some time. And I was like, it's such a great experience. Like anybody that, if you're even thinking about studying abroad, you need to pursue it, because once you're our age, you just don't have the opportunity to travel like that and immerse yourself in the
Mhm.
culture. The leverage that you have, just from an employability standpoint, I mean, it stands
Right.
out on a resume, your adaptability to be in a big city, to make decisions.
Mhm.
It's all the things. So you mentioned that that was a huge draw at DePauw. So can you tell us a little bit
Mhm.
more about study abroad, the opportunities, the affordability, and kind of what that
Yeah.
looks like?
So our academic calendar makes it really easy for our students to have some type of study abroad or off-campus experience. So we have the traditional fall and spring semester, and then we have a winter and a May term, which are essentially about 3 weeks in January, 3 weeks in May and June. Before a student graduates, they have to essentially take two winter term or May term courses. So those winter term and May term courses are meant for students to kind of dive deeper into an area. They usually have like really fun and cool topics. So I know there was one class that a history class that went to Hawaii. But a lot of our winter and May term classes have study abroad components to them. So that is where a lot of our students will go overseas for the first time. For our students that haven't been overseas, it's a really kind of safe way for them to do it, where they're going with their class and their professor, and it's a really structured experience. And then so many of them decide that they like that. So they want a longer term experience. So, like maybe a semester long experience. We have over 100 different relationships in places where we have sent students. Um, we've been to 6 of the 7 continents. I feel like everyone always makes the Antarctica joke. So I won't make that about study abroad. But it is really easy for our students to who want to study abroad to do so. And then we don't want finances to be the reason why someone who wants to go overseas, why they don't. So DePaul has a tiered approach to study abroad. So there is one tier where outside of the flight and living expenses, there aren't any additional fees for study abroad. So theoretically, anyone who wants to do study abroad at DePaul can do it.
Okay. Can someone apply for like a grant or a scholarship or like something outside, or is that just basically like they need to figure it out of pocket?
Oh yeah, we do have grants and scholarships available for like other study abroad opportunities that are like in our tier 2 or tier 3 experiences, which essentially they're just more expensive study abroad programs, which they tend to be like more expensive like countries that students can go to. So, but there are the scholarships and grants that anyone can apply for, and David Kraut, our study off-campus study abroad coordinator, does a really great job of providing information and just kind of different info sessions about study abroad. And what I like about his sessions is he goes even deeper than just like, here's what we offer. He goes into like, here are the scholarships and grants. Here are the different opportunities. Here's what certain majors tend to do. So students really get a comprehensive overview of like what is available. And there are people that can talk them through like, oh, you're an athlete and you want to go overseas. You don't want to do it when you're in season. Here are your different opportunities. And there's a
Okay.
database that students can also look at too.
That's cool. That's really nice. So for so I feel like from when I did it, again, 20 some years ago, basically it was the same tuition. Like I just paid
Mm-hmm.
my tuition to my college, then I went to my study abroad, but I picked up the flight, my
Mm-hmm.
visa, my passport, living expenses, but like my living, like my housing, and I had like a food stipend essentially, whatever like I was paying for room and board was basically given into what the equivalent would be for there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of the case in the like if they're like, oh, well, you're gonna stay in the heart of Paris, tuition's more expensive or your housing's gonna be more expensive, you just kind of like figure that out on a calculator?
Yeah, so there's that. So there are programs where it's essentially a student just paying their tuition. And then there are other programs where the overseas programs like cost more than DePaul tuition. So that's
Okay,
where like the overage is going to come into. And of course,
gotcha.
students can use scholarships and grants for those. And then for just like you said, with housing and meals, like because students aren't paying that overseas, like usually that information that funding can go towards that as well.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. I feel like when I went to their like the places that they were sending us were like our tuition was more expensive always. So like there was
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like a little bit of like cushion even, but that makes sense if you're going to somewhere that's more expensive that you have to fill the gap. So all right, well, we're about to our time. So I want to ask one more question. I feel like we hit a
Mm-hmm.
wide variety of topics, but um, who would you say is the most exciting or notable alumni? I feel like I know who you might
Mm-hmm.
actually say, but maybe it's because it's like the standard answer, but most exciting alumni, and if that's a hard one, someone who's been a really fantastic guest or speaker on your campus. And I can attest from your Welcome Center that you've had a lot of really cool speakers on your campus. I was like taking pictures of them,
Yes.
sending them to people like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So,
So I am a huge sports fan. So my go-to alumni is always the founder of ESPN is a DePaul grad. So I watch and consume ESPN media so much. So anytime I'm like, oh yeah, like Bill graduated from DePaul. So
who is it?
that's really cool. Sorry,
Who is it?
Bill Russ, oh, Russ, Russum. Oh my goodness. I'm going to butcher his last name.
I thought for sure you were going to say Brad Stevens when you started going down the sports lane. I was like, oh, yay, Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I sometimes I'll use Brad Stevens. But I feel like I just ESPN is just a part of my daily life. So I'm thinking about it. I also love Tom's, and so the CEO of Tom's, like the shoes, at one point was a DePaul alum. And then my favorite guest speaker or person that we've had on campus. Let's see, we've had Peyton Manning, born and
He's
raised in
great.
Indiana, so Colts fan. So of course there, and then also a huge Hamilton fan, and so Leslie Odom has also been on campus.
That's great. That's really cool. My one daughter loves Malala, who won it's like the Peace Prize. I can't remember. I can't pronounce her last name. So we're in the same boat. We both can't pronounce the last names. But that was one that I snapped when we were on our visit. I'm like, do you recognize who this is? She's like, oh my gosh. So she has her book as well. So I feel like we can if we had more time, we could even talk about that speaker series because that in itself is just fantastic. But definitely encourage people that are watching this that are interested in DePauw, get on campus, check it out. You might be driving and a lot of corn, a lot of flat
Mhm.
land, but once you're there, it's a charming campus, great people, cute town. It's definitely worth checking out. So, thank you so much, Ashley,
Yeah.
for your time. It was great seeing you again. Thanks for telling us a little bit more about DePauw. And if you have any questions or need anything, feel free to reach out to Ashley and her staff.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Allison.
No problem. It's great seeing you. Have a great rest of your school year.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.